media capital of the world.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Burbank City Council meeting of Tuesday, June 11th. I would like to clear my throat first. I would like to invite Pastor Bob Drummond from Emmanuel Evangelical Free Burbank to the podium to lead us in tonight's invocation and flag salute. Will everyone please stand and remain standing for the flag salute?
Almighty God, before this council begins to perform the duties and responsibilities here tonight, we take this moment and pause, quiet our hearts, acknowledge and thank you for your presence here tonight, and ask for divine wisdom and guidance. We express to you our gratitude for the freedom we enjoy in this democracy as represented by this council. We ask that these servants of the city will steward the business of this city with great humility, discretion, and wisdom. We ask blessing upon them and their families as the toll they takes on them as they serve. We're grateful to you, O God, for this council, and we'll continue to pray your blessing and thank you for your presence. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Madam City Clerk, would you call the roll, please?
Thank you. Councilmember Frutos.
Good evening, Madam City Clerk and Assistant City Clerk. Happy to be here.
Good evening. Councilmember Murphy.
Here.
Councilmember Talamantes. Vice Mayor Springer. Mayor Ghiberletti.
Here.
Thank you.
Before we continue with the agenda, tonight we'll be adjourning in memory of longtime Burbank resident and decorated city employee Barbara Round. Barbara graduated from Glendale High School in 1939 and married her high school sweetheart, Otto Miller, making a family and living the rest of her life in the same Burbank house they bought in 1941. She was the mother of 3 children, Robert, Michael, and Bunky Miller, who she raised while building an accomplished career in sports programming for the city of Burbank. Barbara began her legendary career as recreation leader for the city of Burbank in 1950 before transferring to the sports office in 1954, the first woman to serve in that department. She became sports supervisor in 1969, a promotion that made her the first woman in Southern California to oversee all sports programming. Perhaps the achievement she took the most pride in was founding the Ponytail Softball League in 1957 and overseeing its growth. Barbara retired from Parks and Recreation in 1983, but continued to participate in recreational programs including golf, square dancing, and bowling until she was in her 90s. She was inducted into the Burbank Walk of Fame in 2004 and has a baseball diamond, number 4, named after her at George Eze Olive Park, which she frequently referred to it as quite an honor. She is survived by her daughter and son-in-law, Bunky and Gary Lego, her daughter-in-law, Phyllis Miller, her grandchildren, Stuart Miller, Christy Wilson, Jason Miller, and Erica Wunsch, her great-grandchildren, Ian, Joshua, Evan, and Aiden Miller, and countless friends and extended relatives. At Barbara's request, there will be no public funeral or memorial service. In lieu of cards and flowers, those who wish to honor her memory may make a donation to the organization that promotes the values of sportsmanship and community that she embodied, such as A Better Life Through Sports Foundation or the Humane Society of America. This Saturday at the Civitan Jamboree event, a special presentation will take place marking the first annual Barbara Round Award. This award is a memorial to Barbara Round, a pioneer in girls and women's sports here in Burbank. This award will be given to a young woman in the 7th or 8th grade division who embodies the same spirit and dedication as Barbara had for the game. The recipient does not necessarily have to be the best player in the league, or for that matter, her own team, but rather her qualities should include good sportsmanship, team leadership, and a real enjoyment of the game of softball. Each year, the award will be presented at Civitan Jamboree along with the perpetual trophy that will bear the name of this year's recipient, along with all future recipients. Barbara's spirit, love for the game of softball, and her commitment to girls and women's sports in Burbank will live on in the Ponytail Softball program through the annual presentation of the Barbara Round Award. The entire City Council expresses our deepest sympathies to her family, friends, and all who knew Barbara. As a council, we extend our condolences. And I'd like to ask if a member of the Round family would like to say a few words at this time. This is her granddaughter.
I just wanted to
Welcome.
thank you all. Thank you very much. Barbara spent 80 years in this town and raved about it every single day, from the quality of the water to the sports to whatever she could be involved with. And she'd be super honored to know that you guys took the time to dedicate an award for her. The baseball park she talked about all the time and is over the moon about. And if she knew that there was a perpetual award, she'd be doing cartwheels. So thank you.
Thank you. I'm going to move on in the agenda this evening. Tonight we have 3 announcements and 2 presentations. First, the Burbank City Council will not meet next week on June 18th. Please join us for our next regular meeting on June 25th, 2019, here in the council chamber. Good night, Round family. Thank you for being here. Good night, Aiden. The second announcement is that the Hollywood Burbank Airport is hosting a 3rd interactive charrette workshop for the replacement passenger terminal. Join the airport for your chance to provide feedback on safety improvements, design features, and amenities that you would like to see in the replacement passenger terminal. The 3rd of 6 workshops will take place on Saturday, June 15th, from 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. at the McCambridge Recreation Center, 1515 North Glen Oaks Boulevard, here in the city of Burbank. Dates for additional workshops will be announced soon. For more information, please visit the website www.burreplacementterminal.com. Before we continue with tonight's agenda, I wanted to announce a change in order, and that is after item J, reporting on closed session, we will follow with item L, the presentation of a general update from the Greater Los Angeles County Vector Control District for the presentation to the City Council. We're putting this ahead of public comment. Following the presentation, we will continue with general public comment, which is item K, and we apologize for any inconvenience, but at the end of the day, we wanted the vector control presentation first, if that's all right with council, and then we'll follow with public comment after. For our first presentation this evening, I would like to invite American Lung Association Men Wear Turquoise 2 Ambassador and Burbank resident Mark Vinson of Run Success to join me at the podium to receive a proclamation for Turquoise Takeover Day. As MWTT ambassadors, I would also like to invite the following council members to join me at the podium. Councilmember Talamantes, Councilmember Frutos, and Councilmember Murphy. As long as you all have your turquoise ties on. All right, come on, ambassadors, let's go. Invite Mr. Vincent to come up and we will make a presentation. Good evening. Well, since you and the ambassadors know what this is all about, could you please tell us about the program and how you got involved?
Sure.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, sure. It's good.
That's good. Yeah.
So American Lung Association is an organization that's devised to raise funds and awareness for various diseases that impact the lungs, particularly lung cancer. Men Wear Turquoise 2 is an opportunity for men as well as women to get a chance to join the campaign and to raise dollars both locally as well as throughout the nation and to raise awareness for lung cancer. Specific to your question of how I got involved, this organization means a lot to me for a lot of reasons, but particularly because of a man whom, unfortunately, I never got a chance to meet, my grandfather. As a Navy man, he ducked and dodged bullets and all sorts of challenges and threats on his life, only to return home later and meet a challenge that he couldn't duck or dodge, and that was lung cancer. He passed and he left behind my mother and her 4 siblings, as well as his wife, my grandmother, to fend for themselves, and they did all right. But at the end of the day, they had to say goodbye to that man a little bit too soon. So I got involved because I seek to raise both dollars and awareness throughout the nation, specifically starting here, but we have a mission to continue, and the goal is to be able to help other people not have to say goodbye to their loved ones too soon. Thank you.
And since the other councilmen are up here, what is the job of the ambassador? Mr. Murphy?
Well, to raise money and also raise awareness.
Okay. What I'd like to do is read this proclamation for you. It's the turquoise takeover, so we all wore turquoise tonight. And you wore turquoise earrings. Where's your turquoise? Whereas lung cancer is the #1 cancer killer of women and men in the U.S. I did not know that. Lung Force is a fast-growing, woman-focused initiative led by the American Lung Association with the mission of making lung cancer history, uniting the nation in a fight against lung cancer. And whereas the rate of new lung cancer cases has increased 84% among women in the last 42 years. And whereas advocacy and increased awareness will result in more and better treatments and early detection for people with lung cancer that will ultimately save lives. And whereas air pollution, radon, asbestos, and exposure to secondhand smoke are known causes of lung cancer as well as smoking. And whereas the American Lung Association released the Thought Leadership State of the Air report on April 24th, and whereas Men Wear Turquoise 2 kicked off on March 1st, 2019 is a campaign calling on all men and women who are corporate or community leaders to help raise awareness and research funding to defeat lung cancer once and for all, and to wear turquoise to help raise awareness for lung cancer and lung health. Whereas prominent business and civic leaders in Burbank and surrounding communities have been wearing turquoise to raise awareness during the month of May. Now, therefore, I, Emily Gabel-Luddy, Mayor of the City of Burbank, including all the council members, do hereby proclaim June 11, 2019 as Burbank Turquoise Takeover, Men Wear Turquoise 2 Ambassador Day, and encourage all residents of Burbank to learn more about the detection and treatment of lung cancer. And thank you so much for bringing this to our city.
You're welcome.
Should we do a photo?
Thank you so much.
Let's see, Chief.
Thank you for all the turquoise. I love it. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that important message. For our last presentation this evening, I'd like to invite to the podium our Burbank members, Katie Massa-Kennedy and Tamala Takahashi, to assist in the next presentation. And this is a presentation, a certificate of recognition to Terrence Stevenson for winning our Burbank social media contest. So, Ms. Takahashi, could you please explain to us what this award is all about? Thank you.
Hi, everyone. My name is Tamala Takahashi, and I'm the chair of the Our Burbank Committee in the Public Information Office. Katie, Ada, and I would like to congratulate the winner of the Our Burbank Asked What's Your Burbank contest, Terrence Stevenson. Yay. Mary, do we have the picture?
We'll do the photo last.
There's a picture that they submitted to win this contest. I'm hoping it would come up on the... There it is. Yay.
Oh my God, that
Yes.
is so cool.
We picked this picture because of its joy, and it represents so much of Burbank's personality. Terrence describes it this way with his submission. What makes Burbank special is that it remains a family-oriented city with plenty of resources and areas for kids. My son and his cousins can still play and have fun on the very same street my brothers and I grew up on. It's so Burbankian. Our Burbank, the committee and the PIO office, we organize fun city participation events like this one. Also, the Halloween and holiday decoration contest is something we do. If you'd like to join us, we meet on the fourth Monday of the month at 5:30 p.m. in the Community Services Building. Our next meeting is June 24th. Our Burbank asked, what's your Burbank? Because we think Burbank rocks. Congratulations again, Terrence, to you and your family. Yes, I think so.
All right, would you like to introduce your models? Hi, girls.
These are my two nieces, Embry, who's the one pushing the car, and then Ellie, who's the one with this beautiful smile. My son's actually in the bathroom, so.
Do you want to invite the rest of your family to come?
Yeah, this is my brother, Stefan. He's actually the one that took the picture.
Oh, well, we should get credit, sure.
You might as well introduce everybody.
This is my sister-in-law, Myra, my other brother, Joseph, and my mom, Patricia. We've lived in Burbank since 1986.
Let's do a quick photo. Oh, great. Thank you so much. Congratulations. Thank you for loaning him to us. Thank you. Thank you. Right, we're now on item I of the evening. Mr. City Manager, do you have anything to report?
We do not.
Right. At this time, I'd like to ask Ms. Albano if you have anything to report out from closed session.
Just to list what the council met in closed session on this evening. It was conference with labor negotiators pursuant to Government Code Section 54957.6, City's Negotiator Management Services Director, and the name of the organization was Burbank Firefighters International Association. Also, the council met under Public Employee Performance Evaluation pursuant to Government Code Section 54957, and the employees' positions, city manager and city attorney. Thank you.
You're welcome. We moved up from its original spot now, item L, which is a presentation of the update from the Greater Los Angeles County Vector Control District. And I'd like to indicate that Dr. Jeff Wassam, our Burbank Vector representative, is also here. He will be introducing Anais Medina Diaz, the Public Information Officer for the Greater Los Angeles Vector Control District, to provide a vector control update. Good evening, Dr. Wassam.
Yes, good evening, Councilman and Mayor. I was here a couple weeks ago, and I talked about how we need to prepare ourselves for the oncoming mosquito season. And I offered the opportunity to have one of our representatives from our district come. So this is our Public Information Officer, Ines Medina Diaz. Thank you.
Good evening, Ms. Diaz.
Good evening, Honorable Mayor and City Council. Thank you so much for having me here and for allowing us a few minutes of tonight's meeting. Once again, my name is Anais Medina Diaz, and I'm the PIO for the Greater Los Angeles County Vector Control District. Can we please start the presentation? Thank you. So a little bit about our district, just to overview, because vector control. So Greater Los Angeles County Vector Control District is one of 5 vector control agencies that serve Los Angeles County. Ours is probably the largest. We serve 35 cities and parts of unincorporated LA County. We serve nearly 6 million residents in 1,300 square miles. Our mission is to reduce the populations of public health vectors below nuisance level, but most importantly, to prevent any mosquito-transmitted diseases within LA County. Why mosquitoes? Well, mosquitoes are the deadliest creature in the world. They kill more than 725,000 people a year. That is more than humans and all of these insects and animals combined on this slide, which include humans, snakes, sharks, elephants, and they kill that many people because of the diseases they can transmit. A little biology lesson on mosquitoes. Well, mosquitoes are very tiny, but they're often confused by some of the other insects that we have here in LA County, including crane flies. Crane flies are also known as mosquito hawks. You may see them. They have the really big legs. Those are not mosquitoes, and they don't kill mosquitoes either. They're actually very harmless, and they don't live very long, so I mean, you can shoo them out of your home, but they're not harmless at all. They also get confused by midges, which is another vector that we do manage. But the difference between midges and mosquitoes is one, the proboscis, which if you see, look at the arrow, the proboscis is needed for them to suck our blood. And in fact, if you don't know, only the female mosquito bites humans and mammals. The other difference between mosquitoes and midges is that midges swarm. So mosquitoes are kind of individual, whereas midges, they swarm, and you see them over kind of damp areas in the grass. Those are midges, and they're more of a nuisance than anything. And lastly, mosquitoes are really tiny. They're no bigger than your nail and your pinky. The other thing is that mosquitoes need water to be alive, basically. They need water because they lay their eggs in the water and they turn into the other stages in their life cycle, which include the larva, the pupa, and then the adult mosquito. And all of that happens within 5 to 7 days. With the hot temperatures that we had today, it might be even faster. And they typically live 1 to 3 weeks. So if you see on the bottom right-hand corner, that is what larva looks like. And a lot of times they get confused by tadpoles, but they're not. Those are mosquitoes. So that's why we like to say, you have to toss any stagnant water, especially every 7 to 10 days, to get rid of any stagnant water and any potential breeding sources. So a little bit about the mosquitoes we have here in LA County that are kind of biting us all the time. There are 3,500 mosquitoes in the world, but here in LA County we have 2 that we like to talk about, the Culex mosquito and the Aedes mosquito. Now the Culex mosquito is native to LA County, and that's the one we recognize the most. The Culex mosquito is able to transmit West Nile virus, St. Louis encephalitis, Western equine encephalomyelitis, very long word. And Culex mosquitoes typically bite during dusk and dawn, and they can transmit West Nile virus the most. So West Nile virus is endemic in LA County, and what that means is that it doesn't go away. It lives within the bird population, and that's how it can be transmitted onto to humans' residents. So far this year, it has been pretty tame as far as West Nile virus goes here in LA County. Overall, in the state, we have 84 positive pools of mosquitoes with West Nile virus, most of them out in the Coachella Valley. And 0 human cases. Here in Burbank, no cases for mosquito positive pools and no human cases at all. But it is still very early on in the year, the season is actually just beginning. So with your cooperation, which after speaking with some of our techs, they really appreciate all the help that code enforcement and all of the city residents have done to help us identify any breeding sources. The other, like I mentioned, West Nile virus is endemic, and it's mostly recognized with flu-like symptoms. A lot of people don't realize that they have West Nile virus, but it's still very important to protect yourself from mosquito bites. And West Nile virus does not have a cure, and there is no vaccine. Here's a little bit of the West Nile virus activity all throughout California from 2003 to 2019. The zoom in is of LA County, and this data comes from not just mosquitoes, but also sentinel chickens, which develop an antibody when they are bit by West Nile virus, so they're not quite affected, and dead birds, which are not as common as they once were. Now we have the invasive Aedes mosquito, and I'm pretty sure you've heard about these. These are the, as we like to call, ankle biters. These are the ones that kind of bite you on the bottom or your elbows, and they are capable of transmitting Zika, dengue, yellow fever, chikungunya. However, we don't have any cases here. We don't have any local outbreaks that we know of. Most of these diseases are found in tropical, subtropical regions like Latin America and Asia, which is why the Aedes mosquito came from Asian countries. We first identified them here in 2011 and 2013, and now they've pretty much spread all over the state, and I'll show a slide to see that. But again, they are aggressive daytime biters. They actually still bite through clothes, so long sleeves are not enough now. It's very important to wear repellent. And they are container breeders. Here's the map of LA County, or some of the areas that we've identified this Aedes species, and Aedes albopictus and Aedes aegypti. Aedes albopictus is actually capable of transmitting canine heartworms. So, unfortunately, our dogs and our cats are not safe from this species. But as long as you have given the medication that you can find at your local pet store and upkeep with that medication, you should be fine. Now, where do these Aedes breed? They breed in man-made containers, which again is very important for tip and toss. What that means is get rid of any standing water. Not just containers, they actually breed in plants. If you see in the middle picture there that is a bromeliad, and on the right corner, that is a zoom in of the bromeliad, and you can see larvae there. So they're not just breeding in containers like dish saucers and buckets and fountains. They're also breeding in anything that will hold water, and they don't need a lot of water. All they need is a spoonful of water. And the other crazy thing about Aedes mosquito eggs is that they are viable for 7 to 10 years. So they can be on the side of your container dry, but once they receive a little bit of water and a little bit of heat, so then they start to develop their life cycle. So that is why it was pretty much impossible to eradicate this species. It's now more about getting rid of any standing sources in your area. These mosquitoes don't fly very far. They fly about 150 meters. So if you are getting bit, the location for the source or the mosquito source is either on your property or very near you in your neighbors. Now, the Culex mosquito that we first touched upon, which can transmit West Nile virus, likes larger sources of water, like grain pools. And empty pools usually collect all this rainwater, especially after the months that we received with rainwater. They also like rain barrels, because they have all that standing water. So if you have a rain barrel, please get rid of that water. Or if you can't get rid of the water, make sure that it is sealed, either with a container lid that it came with or with any mesh covering that. They're also popular for gutters and then rain gutters on the top as well. Most of these man-made public sources like the gutters are already on our route. So we're taking care of that at least every 2 weeks. The issue here is any of those sources that are on residential properties, because we can't get to all of those. Here are all the breeding sites we deal with, and that's just rain gutters, unmaintained pools within our district. A little closer look at the city of Burbank, and here's our Burbank. So we have storm drains, pool sources, and other sources. The data showed here is a comparison of 2017 to 2018 and then 2018 to 2019. So for example, the poor sources, it shows we have 259 here, but we regularly update them, maintain them, treat them, work with the residents really to get those pool sources cleaned out, whether either they're clean and functional or dry and empty. That is the acceptable conditions. If you can't do that right away, then please contact us, because these are our biggest source for West Nile, well, not West Nile virus, but Culex mosquitoes, which can transmit West Nile virus. And so a little bit how you can help. Well, like I mentioned, our techs are very, very thankful for the city of Burbank, and I have a code enforcement officer who, one of my techs wanted to say thank you to Elaine Pease, code enforcement officer Elaine Pease. And, but the best thing that you can do is to, again, ask your residents to do their part in getting rid of any containers in their yards at least 7 to 10 days, because that's how long it takes for the mosquitoes to breed. Again, share our presentation, share online, follow us on Facebook, on social media, on Nextdoor as well, and protect yourself, protect your families, protect your communities by either getting rid of those sources or wearing insect repellent. Insect repellent, we have a lot of information on that. It doesn't really depend on the brand of the insect repellent, but rather the ingredient, which is DIR 3535, picaridin, or oil lemon eucalyptus. That's the most natural one. But the most natural way to get rid of mosquitoes is to get rid of the standing water. And that kind of wraps it up. Thank you once again. My name is Anais, and I'll open that up for any questions.
Thank you for your presentation. Does anyone have any questions on this? So if someone sees a pool that's not completely drained, can they call this number and you'll come out and inspect it?
Yes. If we have it in our system, we will then reference our system, because we already have a system, a comprehensive system of pools. However, we're always adding to it. So yes, please report. Our forms are anonymous, so if you want to report on your neighbor, they won't find out it was you, but they are anonymous, and we'll go check it out. But yes, you can report them.
I think besides code enforcement, having your phone number up here, 562-944-9656, and the website is a useful additional piece of information for our community members to have.
Yes.
And if you accept it on an anonymous basis, I think that's helpful as well.
Yes, they are all going to be anonymous.
Councilmember Frutos.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. How long is the ankle biter season, roughly? How many weeks, days, months? Because it seems like last year it was like the whole summer, and it really affected a lot of people.
Yes, so the Culex mosquito, I'll go into the Aedes right now, but the Culex kind of comes out late spring to August or so, and the Aedes mosquito starts about August to November. That's how far we saw it. Yeah, so it needs that warm temperature to start breeding. So I've read a few research articles saying that they need about 75 degrees to start their metamorphosis. However, this species is new to LA County, so we're still learning a lot about it. But yes, they're very aggressive, so they bite during the day, and I think that's the biggest thing, that for the longest time we were used to mosquitoes biting during dawn and dusk, and now they are biting during the day. So that's why.
Does anyone else have questions of either Ms. Diaz or Dr. Wassam? All right, thank you so much for this report this evening. Thank you very much for being here. We're going to move on to item number K this evening, back in order of the council agenda. This is the time for general public comment. Any person speaking during general public comment may address the council on any matter concerning city business or choose the first period of public comment to address an agendized report, including the consent calendar, but will not be able to speak on that item following this segment. Please present a completed yellow general public comment card to the city clerk. The comments are limited to 3 minutes. In order to promote fairness, please stay within your maximum 3 minutes. A timer is available on the podium to help the speaker keep track of how much time is left. It would be helpful for the agenda minutes if speakers could state their name when speaking at the podium. It is not a requirement, it's helpful. I have several cards here this evening. The first card I have is from Alfred Attoon and David Dobson. And you'll be followed by Janet Deal.
Good evening, Madam Mayor.
Good evening.
Council members. We're here tonight, Alfred and I, representing the Kids Community Dental Clinic. You get us instead of Dale. So, go ahead.
My name is Alfred. Good evening, Mayor and council members. The Kids Community Dental Clinic serves families who need access to dental treatments using volunteers. We target low-income, uninsured, Medi-Cal recipients and homeless families. Those are our patient profiles. Tonight, we're requesting $13,401 as part of the Community Development Block Grant. It's an average of about $13.11, kind of a blended average, and we're estimating about 1,022 individuals that will be served. We propose taking our program to different Title I schools, schools for at-risk youth, and programs for homeless families. Those in dire need for dental services generally lack the resources and the ability to ask for help, so we take services to them. Our efforts are focused on finding rampant decay cases and help restore children back to full health. Once a child gets to the clinic, we try to fill all cavities and make sure that most of their dental needs are met. This particular patient, the before and after is pretty stark, and this work was done at no cost. Also a burn victim, so I mean that's kind of why it's not a graphics thing, but we hope to retain all these patients through the age of 18 for regular checkups and help them through phases of dentistry as a child grows and has different needs. As you may know, extensive studies conclude that tooth decay can also lead to heart disease. Our programs are then also focused on teaching tooth decay prevention at the earliest age so that we can grow healthy kids who remain healthy adults. Thank you.
Thank you. Janet Deal is our next speaker, and you will be followed by Andrew Podbielski and James Kaiser. So, Mrs. Deal, good evening. You're first.
I can take my ears off so that... Okay. Thank you very much. Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, members of the council, and our city manager, all the staff, and everyone watching from at home. Everyone but me. I don't get Channel 6 anymore. Spectrum is trying to figure out the problem. Anyway, camperships are important. My name is Janet Deal. I'm president of Burbank Coordinating Council, and since 1936, which began a program which began with a partnership with the Noon Kiwanis, we have been sponsoring children to go and experience either a week at a day camp or a week at a resident camp, depending on their ages. What we do know is that children who are at risk, low income, and homeless need this special time. They need to learn to feel like they're part of the group, like they're accepted, got the same t-shirt everybody else has. I can do all the same games, all the same things, work together, learn to work cooperatively, and learn to feel better about themselves. It's a struggle a lot of times for these children in school and even outside of school. But if we can send them to a place where they can be participating on an even ground with everyone else, they can be enjoying their time and they can be learning to appreciate what they have to offer in this world. And each and every one of these children is important. Last year, with the CDBG funds that we received, we were able to help 25 children. This year, the prices have gone up, as everything else does. But we're hoping that we will be able to use the CDBG funding, whatever amount you are able to and decide to grant to us. It will go for the children that are going to Camp Edwards and that will be staying overnight for a week in the San Bernardino Mountains. And it's an amazing opportunity for them. So just as you're considering, and I know there are so many different groups that are asking for every penny, every nickel that is involved in that pot, and it gets smaller and tighter every year, to just remember that this is one program that is going to have a lifelong impact on these kids. What we do know, as I said, is that they come back dirty, tired, and feeling and happy. Thank you very much, Madam Mayor. They are so happy because they have learned something good about themselves. Thank you very, very much.
Thank you. Andrew Podbielski and James Kaiser are the next speakers, and you'll be followed by Jason Deal.
All right.
Good evening.
Sorry.
It's all right.
I'm Andrew Podbielski.
And I am James Kaiser.
And please give CDBG dollars to Coordinating Council to send more kids to camp. And
at camp, we had lots of fun, you know. There's some fun zip lines. Those are nice to go down.
yeah, and the campfire at night. That was a lot of fun too.
Yeah, you know, singing around the campfire.
Yeah, thanks.
What was your favorite thing?
I like the cabin because, you know, you get to get away from home, kind of feel independent. And yeah, it's nice. You can hang out with friends.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah.
Thank you. Jason Deal is our next speaker. You'll be followed by Tyler Harris. Good evening.
Readjust the mic just a little bit. I'm a little taller than the last set of speakers. I'm Jason Deal. I'm with Burbank Coordinating Council. Of course, relationship to Janet Deal. But in tonight's speech, I'm going to talk about Burbank Coordinating Council as well. We are asking CDGB funds from the council and, of course, the block grant committee to help us get more kids to camp. Last year it was a little tight, and I'd like to see a little more of those kids that we couldn't help last year get out to the camps this year. We, of course, have scheduled most of the ones for this year because everyone needs to know what their vacation ideas are. What camp offers to the kids, the people involved, the families, because, of course, these kids, they're part of a family unit. It's leadership. All the kids going away to away camp, that's their chance at individuality, leadership, getting together, team building. Those that go to day camp, that's a chance for the families to kind of disperse and actually see what the world around them's about. A lot of the little kids, they like to go out, talk to the other kids, just have a little bit of extra fun. Camp at the away camps can go for about $500. And like Janet said, the costs are, of course, going up. By being part of the Coordinating Council plan, we kind of can get a group rate discount, and that's something that a lot of these families can't because they're a little underprivileged at the moment. So our program helps low-income families, families that are maybe living in their cars. And unfortunately, that's more than one family we are helping this year. But also, it helps just have a little extra emotional support. When you're out, you're about, you can talk to the kid next to you, and you're just another kid. And we all need a little bit of extra support and a little extra time to be with each other. We all are kind of sacrificing a little bit of that in this age of digital media, where we kind of look down at the screen. Even as I give this speech, I'm looking down at my phone for my notes. So knowing that, being able to converse and talk to each other in a way that you can see the person next to you makes those relationships that kind of foster a new life much more easy and important. And if you can actually talk, just 10 more seconds if I can. We offer various camps which offer different experiences. And this will help foster new future citizens. And we'd like your help by garnering some of the CDGB funds. Thank you.
Tyler Harris is our next speaker. And
my name's Tyler Harris. I
Hi.
was born in Long Beach. I grew up in Lakewood, and I'm announcing that I'm running for president. My main policy is focused on reproduction. I'm straight. I represent the 97% of our population that is straight only. I was walking by your girls and boys club today, and I saw a big pride sign on the wall, followed by some men in the office. It gave me some dark images of an older man sitting a young boy on his lap, touching his leg and saying, letting him know all about homosexual intercourse. Yeah, exactly. My reaction, exactly. You guys got to get it together. I'm gonna be serious. You got Bryan Singer, Michael Jackson, you know. Yeah, exactly. That's right here in your town. You need to clean this place up, seriously. Do you know how HIV is spread? 64% of every new case of HIV is a homosexual man. And you're teaching this to kids? Seriously? You're just leaving them with it? You're going to give them HIV and then just send them off to spread it? Gay men are the mosquitoes. They are passing diseases along, and people don't want to reproduce. They don't want to catch it. And then they just keep on spreading it. Turquoise is a girly color. Conform to your... Yeah, I know. I'm sorry. I had to say it. You need to conform to your gender. You're sending out the wrong signals right now.
I'll meet you downstairs. We'll see.
Yeah? All right. Yeah? What are you doing about your girls and boys club?
I think it's the most terrific place in the world.
let's go on.
Is that the kind of stuff you're about?
What would you like to finish, Mr. Harris?
If we do things right, we could get every woman to have 36 kids throughout their life. That is all.
Cindy Niver is our next speaker, and you'll be followed by Mike Nolan.
Hello. My name's Cindy Niver, and thank you for letting me address you this evening. I guess this is regarding the council meeting a couple weeks ago where you unanimously voted to move forward with the parking fees, including parking meters, number 4, to try it out. I apologize for putting my thoughts down. I didn't have much time to edit today, but I don't know if you recall the meeting maybe a month before that where the manager of the city finance department gave a report, Cindy Giraldo, about metered parking being one of her ideas to maintain the city's general fund in the black, okay? And then, lo and behold, not long after that, David Kriske, the assistant community development director for transportation, presented a plan for that included parking permits and parking meters, and you guys voted in favor of trying it, a trial run on San Fernando and also the parking structures by the movie theater and all that. So now I oppose this. I don't think it's good for business. I don't feel that it's good for the people of Burbank, and I'm a little bit disappointed that, Councilman Frutos brought that up, but there's very little discussion about the citizens and maybe perhaps hardships or just another nickel and diming of the citizens when they want to go shop at the stores down in along San Fernando, go to the movie theater. The AMC, they charge $2 extra on top of the discount ticket. So you got a nickel and dime there. You got to feed the meter now. This is what's coming in the future. So I don't think it's good for the businesses down San Fernando. I don't think San Fernando's a throughway necessarily. You drive through there to maybe because you're looking to stop at T-Mobile, Starbucks, or movies or something like that. So David Kriske's rationale for traffic abatement, I don't buy it because I feel like the reason there's so much traffic is too many cars in Burbank. I was disappointed that there wasn't much discussion, debate, or advocacy for the citizens. We got the increased tax, sales tax. We've got super high gas prices. We've got to pay for parking at the hospital. We've got to pay for parking at many doctor's offices. The senior citizens, people who have health problems are
Ms.
constantly
Sniper,
going there.
I'm just going to ask you to kind of
So to
conclude.
wrap it up,
Thank you.
I am not for this. I don't think many citizens of Burbank want to pay for parking. We haven't had parking for a long time in Burbank. And I feel that it's not for traffic abatement. I feel like it's for profit, and almost I actually feel like it's a tax. And I don't like it. I don't think the citizens of Burbank like it. So thank you for letting me address you.
Mike Nolan is our next speaker, and that is the last card I have.
Hi, Mike Nolan, Madam Mayor, members of council, ladies and gentlemen. Gee, I'm sorry I don't have anything turquoise. I checked in my pocket. I don't have it. Son of a gun. Now, last week, a gentleman named Roy made several remarks. The man's been in this town for a while. He gets around a bit. Bike rider. Not one of you commented. Time after time. Now, little Miss Muffet is missing again. You see, when she reports out on closed session, what do we get? She reads from the agenda. Not one word about what occurred or didn't occur in closed session. But little Miss Muffet happened to be on the agenda tonight, along with our illustrious city manager. And no, this isn't a rumor, Springer. This is fact. It's on your agenda. You talked about something in there. You banged your gums about something. But no report to the public. We have no date on when the man's leaving. And it's not a rumor. It's on your agenda. So what did you do in there? Play tiddlywinks? Now, we passed Measure P, and we talked about our neighborhoods, didn't we? What have we done? We wanted to retain our middle managers, the people making $500 a day, so they got raises. What about the cops? We now have 6 more departing this month. We're already short in our patrol division. How does that help the neighborhoods? We've got detectives still working in patrol because patrol's short. We're short of sworn personnel in this city. What are you doing about it? What's the city council doing about it? Where's the police chief at a council meeting? What's going on? We have more and more problems going on in this town that are being ignored because we don't have the people available. But we're going to retain those middle managers. You know, those are the ones that can't answer their phone. Everything goes to voicemail. You know the ones I mean. We need to retain them. What's going on? Why are we having a hard time hiring police officers in a city like Burbank? It's your fault, the 5 of you.
And that's the last card I have. Let me ask if there is a brief response from City Council, the City Manager, or the City Attorney. Council members? Mr. Davis, would you like to make a brief response?
Very briefly.
Thank you.
What we're doing to hire police officers is we doubled our recruitment staff, and we're recruiting. We had a hiring freeze. We had a financial crisis in this city. It got addressed by the voters and the council, but during that period, we had a council implemented hiring freeze. So like most departments, PD is doing accelerated hiring. That hiring is taking place as we need, and it will be done this fall. So it will be done. And because of that, there's really not some big problem. The staffing is getting done. The police officers are being hired just as are other workers. It's just not a problem.
Council members? Mr. Frutos, Councilmember Frutos.
I didn't get her name, but the community member was talking about parking meters. I want to thank you for coming down tonight and expressing your views. This will be coming back for a final decision of the council, so we're still in that exploratory, staff's doing the report, but I do thank you for coming in and expressing your and other community members' concern. And to Mr. Nolan, you know, one of the things with the retirement and people leaving the police department, it is concerning. Another community member had also expressed your position that you brought this evening, but all police departments in the state of California are having a difficult time recruiting qualified candidates to do this job. So I understand where you're coming from, but like the city manager reported out, the chief and the command staff is out there recruiting to bring qualified candidates onto the department. But thank you for bringing it up. Thank you, Madam Mayor. Oh, and I also want to thank everybody for coming out this evening.
Vice Mayor Springer.
I'd like to thank everybody for coming. Thank you, Ms. Nivers, for your comments. And I know staff is coming back with a parking management, potential parking management program. And Mr. Nolan, we don't comment on closed session. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Springer. Councilmember Talamantes.
Yes, thank you, Madam Mayor. Thank everybody for coming out here and sharing your thoughts and concerns with us. Mr. Nolan, LA Sheriff's Department has over 1,000 vacancies. 1,000 vacancies. So, like it was mentioned by my colleague, Mr. Frutos, all police departments are having problems hiring qualified individuals. They have a standard for hiring, and we don't want to lower that standard. We want to keep it high. So that's the problem right there. The young lady that mentioned about parking meters, that's something that they're bringing back for discussion. Because when you look at a parking structure or even at a parking lot, it takes money to keep it the way we want to be kept, with the lights on, with the trash cans that are clean. You know, so if you go in a parking lot and you see it's dingy and dark, that's going to take money to repair it, to bring it back to the way it was when it was brand new. And I'm sure everybody wants it to be the way it was when it was brand new. We want it to be properly lit for safety purposes. We want it to be clean so it doesn't smell. And that takes money. It just doesn't happen by itself. The same thing with a parking lot. You have a parking lot that has to be repaired. So just keep that in mind. Change is hard. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Ms. Niver, are you still here? Oh, okay, you're still here. I don't recall that we even voted for parking meters at the last meeting. We absolutely did not. So whoever is putting that out there, that is not what we did. What we did was we went forward with a staff study of only the Metrolink station and managing the parking so that the commuters who use the trains find themselves with parking and others may not. Mr. City Manager, can you clarify that?
Yes, but it's halfway in between you. You didn't vote to put parking meters on streets, let's be clear. But you did vote to have us consider them further as a tool for regulating parking, not to balance the city budget.
True.
But to regulate parking, which we need to regulate, and it's not free to regulate, it's not free to make safe or clean or anything like that, but to regulate parking, which is very different than just a revenue tool where you put meters everywhere.
And our first step was to look at the Metrolink station.
The first step was to look at the Metrolink station and bring you back more information for your consideration. This will take time. It will include the public. It will probably take years.
Thank you. I think my one point out of all of this is not something that we voted to do last week. We're studying some things, and as Mr. Davis said, it's going to take a long, long time, and I don't think it's on anybody's horizon that we're going to see parking meters along the streets of Burbank. Any other comments? Councilmember Murphy, do you have any feedback? No. We're on item number N of the agenda this evening. This is the consent calendar, which may be enacted in one motion. City Clerk, would you please read the consent calendar?
Thank you. Consent calendar, item number 1 is recommendation to approve City Council minutes for the joint meetings of April 30th, May 7th, and May 14, 2019, and the regular meetings of May 21st, June 4th, and dark meeting of May 28th.
Has everybody had a chance to review the minutes? Are there any additions or corrections? Would someone like to make a motion?
Second.
Any further discussion? Madam City Clerk?
Councilmember Talamantes?
Yes.
Councilmember Frutos?
Yes.
Councilmember Murphy?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Springer?
Yes.
Mayor Gabaletti?
Yes.
Thank you.
That brings us to item number O on the agenda tonight. This is a public hearing. This is the time and place for the public hearing for the fiscal year 2019-2020 Community Development Block Grant and Home Investment Partnerships Programs. Before we begin, are there any disclosures relating to this hearing? Seeing none. City Clerk Mullins, have the notices as required by law been given?
Yes, they have.
Do we have a complete file of exhibits, correspondence, and other documents?
Yes, you do.
Are there any written communications on this matter?
We have 2 correspondence, and you have copies on the dais and in the front for the public.
Will the representative from the Community Development Department please introduce yourself and summarize the item for us? Good evening, Mr. Gonzalez. Welcome.
Good evening, Mayor Gabaletti and council members. Marcos Gonzalez with the Community Development Department. This evening I will provide you a presentation of CDBG funding recommendations for fiscal year 2019-20. These funds are a valuable resource for Burbank. They help improve community facilities, expand economic growth, and increase adequate public service delivery to residents of Burbank. As a grantee of CDBG funding, the City of Burbank's governing body must annually approve the use of funds for eligible projects and programs. This includes the approval of the fiscal year 2019 annual action plan included as Exhibit B. The action plan describes the manner in which the city will undertake activities for the benefit of residents in the community. Also included are the approval of the CDBG and Home Investment Partnerships Program applications and certifications that will be submitted to HUD for approval of our action plan. Council is asked to consider amending prior year CDBG agreements by extending the time of performance, which is also included as Exhibit F, as well as reallocating funding from prior year projects into this fiscal year. Lastly, Council will be asked to consider a multi-year CDBG capital project funding commitment to the Boys and Girls Club. A short summary of CDBG is that this program has been in existence for over 40 years. Burbank is a direct grantee of HUD dollars, and as a direct grantee, the City of Burbank is entitled to receive CDBG funding upon submission of our annual action plan. Eligibility for CDBG funding is determined by HUD, which allocates these funds in accordance with the budget appropriated by Congress. For fiscal year 2019, the United States Congress approved $3.3 billion for CDBG, which is no change from last year. CDBG funds are restricted to serving low to moderate income persons in order to better serve communities who are to serve residents who are in economically distressed neighborhoods who may be able to benefit from the services offered under CDBG funds. The city will spend approximately 6 months to get to this point where we are tonight. During this time, the City and Goals Committee will solicit proposals, review applications, rank applications, and then come to you with a list of projects and programs with executive team recommendations included. As a result of the numerous years of CDBG funding, vital programs, community facilities, and city infrastructure projects have received CDBG funding over several years. The process to apply for CDBG includes an online application. This is new in this fiscal year. We made this change because we wanted to streamline the process of being able to have applications submitted through one sole source, be able to review the applications quickly, and then be able to package everything to bring these items as an exhibit to Council. The online application system serves as a tool for staff as well as the Goals Committee. And it also provides us a manner of being able to align specific goals and targets that we establish every year, such as the homelessness plan. As the Community Development Goals Committee, which was appointed by the City Council, they spent 2 months reviewing applications, having meetings with applicants, and convening to deliberate on CDBG funding recommendations for fiscal year 2019. These recommendations can be found on Exhibits D and E, and including executive staff recommendations that follow the Goals Committee reconvening meetings. A total of 16 applications were received for fiscal year 2019. The applications are divided into 2 categories, public services and capital projects. I would like to note that public service applications decreased by 20% this year. That's a result of a few programs rolling off. The Burbank Unified School District, the Salvation Army Homeless Connect Day, and Family Promises Case Management Program did not have an application submitted in fiscal year 2019. 2 of those programs actually became self-sustainable, and one could no longer sustain an ongoing decrease in CDBG funding, so they elected not to apply this year. The revenue for fiscal year 2019 under CDBG is a total of $1.2 million. This includes the city's new CDBG HUD allocation of about $1,030,685 and reallocation of prior year funding of $116,454. The funding this year does far excuse me, the funding request this year would exceed the funding that is available. As shown on this slide, the first two columns provide a description of the funding categories and the available funds. The far right column represents the funding requested by the applicants. As you can see, the row for public services has the highest deficit of all three categories. The amount requested is twice the amount that's available. Basically, an applicant has a tendency to submit funding requests that are usually not proportional to prior year funding allocations. This has been a common practice for many applicants. However, with the recent emphasis on homelessness, many applicants have begun to decrease their funding requests that are more representative of the funding that's available. Many organizations that have submitted an application for CDBG for fiscal year 2019 have responded to the city's homelessness efforts directly or indirectly. Those applicants were ranked under Tier 1 and received a higher priority for funding by the Goals Committee and staff. Although Tier 2 is not the highest priority for CDBG, applications under this category were top-level projects worth funding this year according to the Goals Committee and staff comments. As previously stated, there are a total of 5 capital and economic development projects that are being considered this evening. I'll start with the first one, LaSar Development Consultants. Their request is for the ability to provide capacity building and technical assistance to up to 5 nonprofits and also city departments. The amount that, this is a program that was previously approved last year. Council approved $83,000 in fiscal year 2018, which assisted close to 5 to 6 organizations with funding. An outcome of this program was that there's about $715,000 in grants that we're able to, that we're expecting to receive as part of this technical assistance that was provided through LaSar. So there's a return on investment of about 860% on your allocation of under this program. So this evening we're looking at a recommendation of about $50,000 to continue to assist organizations. The next program is the Burbank YMCA. Their request is to replace an elevator lift. Excuse me. The YMCA is looking at assisting all members who may have a mobile impairment. There's currently about 8,518 members at the YMCA, with an average of about 810 members that are impacted with a mobile impairment. The actual lifts that they're looking at replacing are existing lifts that are about 24 years old and are in need of lots of repairs. So it's, for them, it seems like it's better to replace those and continue to repair these 2 lifts that they currently have at the center. The following applicant is the Boys and Girls Club. The Boys and Girls Club is requesting funding for a new facility construction that is adjacent to the Providencia Elementary School. To date, the Boys and Girls Club has obtained financial commitments from private donors totaling about $3 million. Their goal is to raise $6.5 million to break ground on construction by June of 2020. As a community leader and partner to the city, the Boys and Girls Club is requesting a multi-year funding commitment of $1 million in CDBG funding in the next 2 years. The Boys and Girls Clubs split the funding request into $500,000 this year and another $500,000 in fiscal year 2020. The recommended amount is $500,000 for fiscal year 2019 to be used for planning and program and facility design, and then looking at another commitment for next year of about $500,000 if funding is available. I'd like to note that the City of Burbank is no stranger to assisting agencies with the construction of facilities. The City of Burbank provided assistance to one organization, that's Burbank Temporary Aid Center, where they received $1 million in 2 years. So we were able to accomplish the construction of the new building, and we're able to do that by splitting the costs in back-to-back years. The Salvation Army's Access Center construction is also a multi-year project with a strong emphasis on homelessness. The funding requested is needed to construct a homeless access center. The access center will provide homeless ability to receive case management, to connect them to programs, also providing office space for case managers, a laundry facility, lockers, and renovation to their existing kitchen. The program is in addition to services are currently provided by Burbank Temporary Aid Center. Due to the high, the numbers that were released by the Los Angeles Homeless Services Authority, we understand that the numbers of homelessness have gone up. So an access center is really a benefit to our community due to the high number of homeless that are in LA County, and included the numbers that are in the service planning area too, which it covers Burbank. We still don't know what our numbers are for Burbank, but we're estimating the numbers to be close to the 200 that we've counted in prior years, about 10% more or less. The funding that's recommended is about $120,000 to begin the construction of their office space, showers, lockers, and the laundry room. The last capital project is a multi-year project funded through the economic development category, and it's the Central Libraries Workforce Training Digital Lab with an emphasis on homelessness. This request is to be able to purchase digital hardware for the sole use of the lab. This spaces will provide entrepreneurs and small businesses a usable space to develop a skill set and training needed in today's digital entertainment and media workforce. The recommended amount is $88,098 to purchase the needed hardware equipment. This is also phase 2 of this request. Last year, the council approved funding for this, the construction of the facility. So this project is moving ahead towards getting construction started this summer. So to wrap up the capital projects, I just presented 5 programs that are activities that are with funding under CDBG. And next I will present to you the public service programs. As stated earlier, the Goals Committee spent a lot of time and effort to understand many of the programs and deliver a recommendation that is conscientious of the needs of the community. Staff recognizes that many of these programs provide a valuable service to all residents, but the supply and demand limits how much we can provide funding under CDBG. Nonprofits are resilient and can leverage unlike any other business or public entity. For every $1 of CDBG invested, a nonprofit can increase that to $4. Just something I researched before this meeting because it was very important to highlight for this group. For the council. The first public service program is the Care Cottages at Puerta Nueva. It's a well-known and award-winning organization that operates this program, Family Service Agency. They provide therapeutic, educational, and advocacy services to related to mental health and trauma-informed care. The recommended amount is $24,000 for costs associated with the Care Cottages at Puerta Nueva, which is a transitional housing program for victims fleeing domestic violence. Burbank Temporary Center, a pillar in the community, is seeking the support of the city to continue to support families and individuals at risk of becoming homeless, including those who are currently homeless. With over 400 individuals served by BTAC on an annual basis, staff is recommending $25,000 to BTAC to continue to provide direct services to clients, while also assisting BTAC with their program operations for many of their core programs, like their laundry, their food programs, and their certifications that they must meet in order to continue to provide meals, to be able to provide the food donations. The Burbank Community YMCA, they're in their 6th year of a summer academic and enrichment program to assist underperforming school-aged children from low-income families. Through a partnership with the Burbank Unified School District, the Learn, Go, Thrive Summer Day Camp expects to assist about 180 kids this coming summer. Staff is recommending $12,333 to assist 7 children from low-income families with a tuition cost. Your next program is the After School Scholarship Program by the Boys and Girls Club. Funding from CDBG has been requested by the Boys and Girls Club for the After School Scholarship, so kids from low-income households can attend any of their 21 locations. The program will offer financial aid to cover the cost of tuition for eligible children between ages of 5 to 18 years of age. The recommendation for this program is $5,000 to assist up to 33 children from low-income families with tuition scholarships. Next, we have services to children and adults with severe intellectual and/or development disabilities. This is a program operated by BCR, A Place to Grow, who is seeking the support from the City Council to cover the 2nd year of a vehicle lease. The vehicle supports BCR's expansion of activities outside of Burbank in order to conform with funding requirements from state and federal grantors. Staff is looking at a recommendation of $12,068 to be able to assist 83 children and adults with building their living skills through transportation to various facilities outside of Burbank. The Burbank New Lions is requesting the support for an eye and ear care program serving low-income or homeless adults residing in Burbank. These services are coordinated by the Burbank New Lions in conjunction with professionals to cover the cost of exams and equipment. Staff is looking at a recommendation of $4,400 to be able to assist up to 35 low-income adults. The Armenian Relief Society has requested assistance to continue programs for seniors and employment services as well as homeless services. Armenian Relief Society has seen a surge of seniors and adults facing homelessness. In response to the imminent risk of homelessness faced by these residents, the residents can receive case management, one-time rental assistance, as well as referrals to public services through the Armenian Relief Society. Staff has recommended $5,000 to assist up to 20 individuals or households under this program. The Kids Community Dental Clinic. They provide equal access to dental care treatments to children from low-income families who lack health options or who live on a limited income. This program is proactive in the community by going into schools and providing free exams and offering access to care. The clinic provides care to about 1,022 children with free or reduced costs to them. Staff is recommending $13,401 to continue to provide treatments, training, and proactive outreach in the community. Family Promise of the Verdugos is proposing to continue assisting families who are facing homelessness by stabilizing their housing crisis with the help of a rapid rehousing program. Rapid rehousing is a short-term rental subsidy where a family will contribute 30% of their income towards rent. Family Promise offers case management while families are enrolled in this program and eventually places them into a housing unit. Family Promise seeks to continue to provide a rapid rehousing program by serving 7 new families in fiscal year 2019. The recommendation for this program is $43,000. The Burbank Coordinating Council, serving children who are from low-income families. The program, as you heard earlier, provides summer camps that can serve over 100 children that participate in their summer camps at Camp Edwards and Brave Trails. The costs for summer camps have increased over from year to year. Currently, the average cost for a camp is from anywhere from $240 to $500 per week. And for a resident, that's for a day camp. For resident camps, the average cost is about $500 to $950 per week. New this year, Burbank Housing Corporation will be assisting BCR with providing the income eligibility for families that are being considered for these scholarships. Staff is looking at a recommendation of $5,852 to assist up to 25 children from low-income families. And finally, the final public service project is the Burbank Central Library's Workforce Training Digital Lab purchase of software. This is a separate item from the capital funding request because software is only an eligible activity under public services. The software includes applications, the purchase of applications for specialized equipment that will be purchased using CDBG capital dollars. For example, software for video production, Photoshop, video gaming, and three-dimensional printing. This would be a one-time request, and I want to mention those. That concludes the presentation for public services and capital projects. So this evening, staff recommends that the council adopt a resolution authorizing the submission of the fiscal year 2019-20 action plan and to consider staff's capital and public service funding recommendations, to submit the CDBG and home applications and certifications for funding, amend prior year CDBG agreements and reallocate funds, and authorize a multi-year CDBG capital project funding commitment to the Boys and Girls Club for the new clubhouse facility. Madam Mayor, any questions?
Thank you. I'm going to take public testimony first, and then we will return Mr. Gonzalez. We will now open the public hearing to hear from any person in the audience who wishes to speak on this matter. Please fill out a salmon-colored card and present it to our city clerk. Each person may address the council for a maximum of 3 minutes. I have several comment cards here. Our first speaker is Shanna Warren, and you'll be followed by Barbara Howell, and Barbara will be followed by Albert Hernandez. Good evening.
Good evening, Madam Mayor, City Council, and City staff. My name is Shanna Warren. I'm the CEO for the Boys and Girls Club. I'm here tonight to speak about our CDBG proposal for funding to be used towards our new main clubhouse, which will be located at the backside of Providencia Elementary School, where we currently have an after-school program. This is a joint use project between the club and the Burbank Unified School District, who have long-term leased the land to us. This new main clubhouse will serve as a club location as well as our headquarters and will replace our existing clubhouse, which we return to the city once we open our doors. The new clubhouse will serve children primarily from Burbank, as our existing clubhouse serves Washington, McKinley, Providencia Elementary Schools, as well as both Burbank High Schools and our Deaf and Hard of Hearing program. This will also benefit our partners at Family Promise of the Verdugos and Burbank Temporary Aid Center, as we will continue to provide after-school and full-day programs for low-income, homeless, and near-homeless youth. In addition to this, you heard last week about our new partnership with BHC, so we are very excited that their members would also benefit from this project. Our new facility will increase impact and provide additional opportunities for our members to learn and grow, and provide life-changing programs and provide a long-term solution for generations to come. This new facility will include a safer, more secure 15,000 square foot location on a school campus, safe drop-off and pickup areas with additional parking, dedicated program space for all of our age groups, and the club would expect to at least double the amount of kids served. We expect the project to cost $9 million. We began a capital campaign last year and are very fortunate that the Walt Disney Company came in with a lead gift of $1 million, and our staff and board have raised $1 million, and we are in the process of making asks to a number of large corporations and businesses, and our last step will be to reach out to private foundations. Tonight, I am asking the council to consider our request for $1 million over 2 years. Our staff and board are working very hard to lead this project. We have a task force made up of industry professionals that meet regularly. In preparing for this process, we also recently met with Michael Baker International, who walked us through the labor and compliance requirements for accepting CDBG capital funds. The impact of this new state-of-the-art Boys and Girls Club will extend far beyond the walls of the club, and this safe haven will be transformational for our community. Some of the expected outcomes of this are: young people ages 5 through 8 will have a safe, clean, friendly place to go. More young people will graduate from high school on time and go to college. Many will be their first in their families to attend college, and many will become tradesmen or succeed in the military. These young leaders will become the next generation of community and business leaders. Businesses will invest in communities where talents exist and unemployment levels will go down. Again, these are just a few examples of how our community will benefit from this new main clubhouse, and we cannot do it without the city's support, so we hope you will consider our request. Thank you.
Barbara Hull is our next speaker. You'll be followed by Albert Hernandez, followed by Mary Coutone. Good evening.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I'm here to speak to you about the funding for this general services funds. But before I do, I would like to express my thanks for the support BTAC continues to enjoy from the council, BWP, the police and fire departments, public works, as well as the community development department who are administering these funds. I would also like to just mention that the numbers of people served, the 400 are the new people that entered the program last year. That doesn't take away the people who entered the program before that and are still needing assistance. We're currently serving over 2,500 households in Burbank, which is about 7,500 people. And then we also are serving about 1,000 people per year who are experiencing homelessness right now. So the numbers actually being served through these funds will be greater. Based on the staff recommendations, what we plan to do is increase our budget for services in 3 areas for homeless prevention programs. First is supplemental utility assistance, rental and mortgage assistance, and then also more healthful groceries and food options. Funds will also be used to support the homeless population with food, showers, laundry facilities, ID replacement, and transportation assistance. For those things that we cannot do, BTAC has a wide net of organizations that we work with that we can refer people to. Burbank Temporary Aid Center is celebrating its 45th anniversary this year, and we've been very appreciative of the outpouring of support over the years from the community, and that we've been able to do things that will be able to touch people's lives. Many of the services that we provide, when you look at them, the costs are hidden. The gas to go pick up the food every day from Trader Joe's, or the utility bill that is going up to pay for the showers and laundry facilities that are free to the homeless and people who are low income. And so there are some things that are directly related to our services, but may seem more like an overhead cost. But if those costs aren't covered, then those services are in jeopardy as well. And so some of the funding would go to that. I know that other organizations need funding as well, and I don't envy your position, but I would ask that on behalf of the people that we serve, that you will be as generous as possible. Thank you.
Thank you. Albert Hernandez is the next speaker. He'll be followed by Mary Coutone and then Paul Herman.
Good evening, Madam Mayor, council members. Before I go to my script, I just wanted to say, I spent my entire high school years and college years as an employee at the Boys and Girls Club here in Burbank. Now my beautiful 6-year-old daughter is attending Boys and Girls Club. And I too, Councilmember Murphy, think that Boys and Girls Club of Burbank is one of the greatest places. So my name is Albert Hernandez, and I serve as the Executive Director of Family Promise of the Vertigos. And I'm here tonight to speak about the CDBG allocation of funds for 19 and 20 fiscal year. Family Promise has submitted an application seeking $60,000 in CDBG funds to support a second year of rapid rehousing programming. Last fiscal year, our agency received an allocation of funds which enabled us to begin a new rapid rehousing program in partnership with the City of Burbank. Our goal was to decrease the number of homeless families in Burbank by assessing their families' needs, helping them secure employment, and ultimately housing. We utilized the CDBG funds to provide up to 12 months of rental subsidies that would support the families while they worked closely with our case managers to increase their income. In addition to utilizing funds from CDBG, Family Promise was able to leverage our own funds and to assist families with by providing funds for a portion of their security deposit. While we projected assisting 5 homeless families for up to 12 months last year, we were able to achieve that goal within our first quarter. Our trained and professional staff were able to help 3 families increase their earned income. Thus, those families were able to transition out of our rapid rehousing program and take over their own leases. This allowed our agency to increase the number of families in our program. By the fourth quarter, we had served double the number of families projected and are anticipating a 100% success rate in 3 weeks. Meaning all of our families taking over their leases and becoming contributing members of our community. I humbly ask you for your support in continuing to fund the rapid rehousing program that has proven to change the lives of families experiencing homelessness here in our community. Thank you.
Thank you. Mary Cotone is our next speaker. You'll be followed by Paul Herman and then Lori Blake.
Good evening, Madam Mayor, council members, staff, and members of the Burbank community. My name is Mary Cotone, and I'm the president and CEO of the Burbank Community YMCA. Excuse me. The achievement gap in education refers to the disparity in academic performance between certain groups of students. The program that you're considering for support today, called Learn, Grow, Thrive, is designed to help close the achievement gap for Burbank students who come from low-income households and are behind in school. Thanks to your generous and ongoing support, and the generosity of our donors, students in grades 1st through 5th will receive instruction in English language arts, mathematics, STEM activities, active games, lunch, and a whole variety of summer enrichment experiences. This is a collaborative effort with the Burbank Unified School District, and each grade is taught by a credentialed teacher and a dozen or more partners who show up every summer to help students stay caught up in school, avoiding the dreaded achievement gap. I would like to personally invite each and every one of you to our VIP tour on July 10th. Check your spam email for your invitation. Seeing is believing. Additionally, we appreciate you considering our second grant to replace the ADA lifts. The exorbitant costs of these lifts in an old building put it almost out of reach for our nonprofit. Knowing that our current much-needed lifts are worn out by use and age, having served so many of our community members over the years who are mobility challenged, I hope you will share in some of the pride that we feel as we continue to serve all in our community. Thank you for considering both of our grants. The Y considers it a joy and a privilege to be a partner with the city via CDBG funds in serving both of these vulnerable populations for a healthier Burbank. And if I could go off script for a moment and also say that we too stand in solidarity with the Boys and the Girls Club in our efforts to serve all in our community, even those celebrating Pride in June. Thank you.
Paul Herman, you're our next speaker, and Lori Blake is our final speaker.
Good evening, Madam Mayor and fellow council members. My name is Paul
Paul Herman. I am board chair for the Boys and Girls Club of Burbank and Greater East Valley. I sent you all a letter from our board earlier today, and I'd like to read it into the record. Dear Mayor Gabel-Luddy, on behalf of the board for the Boys and Girls Club of Burbank and the Greater East Valley, we respectfully request the Council's measured consideration and approval of the 2019-2020 Community Development Block Grant Commitment as delineated and recommended by the City Staff Report. As you may know, the history of the Boys and Girls Club's pursuit of a new main clubhouse is long and complex. Many years have been spent trying to find a new home for our club. Never have we been so close to making this dream a reality, and never has the need been more pressing. Over the past 5 years, in combination with our partnerships at Burbank Unified School District, the Burbank Housing Corporation, and the Roman Catholic Archdiocese of Los Angeles, our organization has doubled in size. I'm proud to say that as of this fall, there will be a Boys and Girls Club site at every elementary and middle school in Burbank Unified School District. In addition, our partnership with BHC is strong and growing, with an additional site expected to open at Peyton Grismer this coming next summer. The numbers speak for themselves. We now have over 4,000 members and an average daily attendance in excess of 2,000 kids. But the numbers don't tell the whole story. The impact on the lives of children and families in our community is incalculable. The impact is largely attributable to our staff, who, on a shoestring budget, but with a lot of love, dedication, and moxie, make our mission a reality. Help us to help them make that mission to enable all young people, especially those who need us most, to reach their full potential as productive, caring, and responsible citizens. Help them make that a reality for our community here in Burbank. Help us build a new home here in Burbank so that we can continue to endeavor to foster and mentor the youth in our city for the benefit of our city, for the benefit of our future, for the benefit of us all. Thank you.
Thank you. Lori Blake, you are our last speaker.
Good evening, Madam Mayor, Council, City staff, community. I'm Lori Blake. I am the Executive Director at Family Service Agency of Burbank. Chris Ramos wanted to be with us but got called away. She is our Director and new COO at Burbank Family Service Agency and has been the longtime director of the program that I'm going to speak to you about today. What I'd like to start with is that the work that you've done specifically with us, I know that you are represented in many ways of giving back to this community, but what you've done at FSA over the 66 years we've been here is quite extraordinary. And I get reminded of it now on a regular basis because we're being visited. We're being visited by many school districts and other communities to find out just how we are pulling this all off here. So thank you for that. Your vision and your courage as leaders is extraordinary. And I don't know if the world knows how incredible that is. So let me just say that out loud while a few people are watching, that your leadership is beyond good. To be a visionary and to be leaders like you are and to step out into places where other people have not been has saved lives. Not just changed them, but you have literally saved lives, and you continue to do that through our programs, and I'm sure through others as well. I'm going to talk about the representation that is, again, different than some of the other organizations tonight, but I think goes to the depth of the commitment you have to your community, and that is not just expansion, but the depths that you invest in your programs. We have lots of big programs that you've been part of. We see thousands of kids through our school-based counseling program. This year alone in our most newly developed program, our drop-in centers, our mental health centers on our high school campuses, this year over 1,700 students came to visit us this year of their own accord. 14,000 visits, which speaks to the needs that are out there for our students and that they are looking and welcoming support from all of us. And that is our job, is it not? To prepare our new youngsters. But what you've done in our care cottages, which I believe to be equally important, if not even more important, when we start talking about homelessness. The number one reason that women are homeless in this country, shame on us, is domestic abuse. And it's been that way for decades. And it remains as such. We aren't trying to serve the world, but we have 20 years ago started this program, actually 25 years ago now, started a program of domestic abuse with the support of this community, your local police department, Chief Newsham, and leadership at your then, oh God, it's over, huh? Ay.
You wrap it up.
Sorry, your municipal court. And what that allowed us to do is deepen our services and our commitment to this community of battered women who are fleeing violence and have nowhere to go that is safe. Let me just say, in all the years we've been there, close to 15 now, not one woman has gone back, and the national average remains 7 times they go in and out of a battering situation with their children before they're able to safely get out, if they get out at all. You have never had a woman or a child go back into that scenario that has come into this program.
Thank you.
So thank you for the depth of that commitment.
Thank you. Mr. Gonzalez, do you have any additional comments, or would you like to respond to any of the public testimony?
No, I don't have any responses to the testimony at this time, but they're all worthy programs to consider this evening. I can agree with all the comments from the speakers. I would also like to acknowledge that I have two my goals committee members here, Charles Wilson and Jean Taranti. I know they are sitting in the audience, but they're also here this evening to hear this conversation that we're about to have tonight.
Very good. Do council members have questions? I don't know where to start. Councilmember Murphy.
Thank you. Mr. Gonzalez, it looks like the committee as well as the executive group pretty much reached consensus on both types of programs. The one that jumps out to me on the services program is the Family Service Agency versus Burbank Temporary Aid, and I say versus because they're both great programs. But on the services, Family Service asked for 45. They were recommended by the Goals Committee 28. The Executive Committee recommended 24. It appears that they cut the 4,000 from there and gave them to BTAC, which was asking for 25, received 21 recommended from the Goals Committee, and then the Executive Committee bounced it back up to the whole 25. I'm just wondering what happened. What did the Goals Committee recommend, and why did the Executive Committee change it, if you know?
So, yes, the Goals Committee, I'll start with the Goals Committee recommendation for the Family Service Agency, because it is kind of complex as far as the information you just kind of unpackaged on the recommendations. The Family Service Agency, although had received a higher allocation from Goals Committee from prior year, last year they received $16,721 for this program. And where I mentioned this evening that the Goals Committee spent quite a long time in just deliberating over programs, ranking projects, and what we did when we went through some of these programs is the rankings were based on, again, homeless emphasis as well as the ability to serve a very specific community need like women fleeing domestic violence. So those were things that would take into consideration to be able to kind of make that recommendation of $28,000 to the Family Service Agency. But at the same time, we'd have to look at the other programs, again, are being impacted. So when we went then to the next phase, which was the Executive Committee, those views were discussed as far as what the Goals Committee looked at as far as the funding recommendation. And the executive team and staff had a very close look at, well, what was last year's allocation and what's this year's allocation, and where can we make some changes, because one of the things is that we want to be able to give funding to all programs that are very important, and BTAC was one of those programs that we felt that would be a very, and definitely would be a way that we could utilize this money also really effectively to serve a larger population of people who are at risk of becoming homeless, where care cottages, again, it's a very valuable program, but it's also only just directed to a care cottage program. So there's kind of where we had to look at that kind of information as well to be able to make decisions as far as maybe where do we move some of this money to be able to serve the most people that we can who are facing homelessness.
Okay, well, let me show you why that logic doesn't make any sense. If you drop down to the family promise of the Verdugos, they're asking for 64. They got 43, which is more than the other two programs I was talking about did. And according to this, they serve 7 people. Family Service Agency serves 6. And the difference is about $12,000, $13,000. So help me understand that.
So when you look at the programs that Family Promise are providing, those are more expensive programs. Even though they help less people, when you look at the total numbers, the programs that they're doing are longer-term programs. As was indicated, they take about 12 months to provide the services that they provide to Family Promise to get these people back onto the street and to move them forward. And those programs are for families. When you're looking at the other 2 programs, they're more for individuals. They're shorter-term programs. That's why there's a big difference in the cost.
No. The care cottages serve families. Right.
Yeah, if I might, there is a similarity as far as the families being served with Family Promise, with care cottages, but there is a very, as Ms. McFarland mentioned, the cost of rental assistance through Family Promise is finding units in the open market, where care cottages has units that are already owned by BHC. You're not looking for that rental unit that it's hard to find with Family Promise, having to locate a unit, reach an agreement with an owner, pay that rent, have the tenant pay a portion, and in addition to that, provide case management. So all that's more of a bigger program with a lot of moving parts, where your care cottages, you will be looking at providing the case management, but you do have already the unit that helps offset some of the costs.
Yeah, I'm not trying to quibble, because they're all great programs. This is always one of the hardest nights that I've ever done this, and thank God the staff has seen the need to leave this alone on its own night and not pair it up with the Holocaust and the Armenian genocide. I mean, you talk about a meeting that you come out of feeling like a dish rag. So, but yeah, they're all great programs. Just these numbers jump out at me, and I'm trying to figure it out. Madam Mayor, there's 2 people from the committee here tonight, is that right? The Goals Committee?
Yes, sir.
Could I ask them to stand, and maybe we could give them a round of applause?
Absolutely.
This is hard work. Thank you very much. You make it a lot easier on us, and it's not easy. Okay, I think that's. Thank you.
Anyone, Councilmember Talamontes?
Yeah, I just want to share with my colleagues and the public, it's the first board or commission that I was involved with when I first came to the city. Once started getting involved in city services was the Community Development Goals Committee. That was my first introduction to city politics.
We're grateful.
So thank you. No, it's been a lot of time.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of need. Obviously, look at the request, $261,000 in requests, and we only have $162,000 to give out. If it was up to me, I'd give it all. I'll fulfill all the requests, 100%.
We'll take your check.
Thank you very much. But since it's not up to me, I have to go talk to the wife. But it's very hard. Tonight is, and it's not as hard as other years, because there's a lot fewer people submitting applications this year, and that just jumped out at me. I'm thinking, wow, this is going to be easy tonight. because other years has been really difficult. You know, I don't see any public works requests here. Other years, there's been a lot of monies requested by city departments. Library is the only one. I don't know what happened to those departments. Maybe we don't need the money anymore. But that was unfortunate. I didn't like that I didn't see departments. And you know, if you've heard me before, if there's grants or monies out there, I want it to come to Burbank.
You're looking, one of the considerations is Measure P, with the passage of Measure P, that the streets are now funded. And so they didn't feel the
Well,
need to
there's
request
always more
additional.
need as well. I mean, if you're going to tell me that everything's funded for 100%? Okay,
Never.
there you go. So thank you very
None of
much.
these programs.
So that jumped out at me, not seeing any city departments putting in for it, at least to be considered. Not so much to get the monies, but at least to be considered. But anyway, and the fact that there's fewer applications makes it easier on its colleagues, a lot easier. And those two, there's a couple others that jumped out at me. Obviously, the request by the Family Promise, 64,000, done to 43. Armenian Relief Society, 26,000, down to 5. YMCA, 21,000, down to 12. So, you know, there's, it's tough. It's really difficult. You know, I'm just going to go ahead and suggest to my colleagues that we go ahead with the recommendations of the committee, of the executive committee, and move forward with that. If that's, if you guys are willing to go with that.
Let's see what the other council members have to say. Vice Mayor Springer, followed by Councilmember Frutos.
That's fine with me. I just have a question about the Workforce Training Digital Lab. And I'm wondering, are the people or the expected users of that people who've lost a job, and is it a course and they'll be retrained in video production and Photoshop, learn new skills?
I think I'll defer that too. Elizabeth.
Good evening, Vice Mayor Springer, members of council, Elizabeth Goldman, Library Services Department. We're going to offer a wide variety of opportunities for learning in this space. We are the library. We serve a lot of people with a limited number of staff, so it's not going to be full-on courses with accreditations or anything like that, but we're planning to have a mix. We will have some self-paced learning. We will connect people to online sites. We'll have some learning materials that you can go through on your own. We'll also have some practice time. We will have, there's another grant that we have applied for from the California State Library that will fund some programming in the space in the first year, allow us to bring in experts on specific subjects such as app design and do both group classes as well as one-on-one sessions with people. So what we will be able to offer people is exposure to these fields, access to experts so they can both learn some of the technical skills as well as understand what it might take to find a job in the field. We'll certainly be working with the studios and all sorts of other businesses in the community to bring in speakers and people to connect with. And then it'll also be a space where people can put together what they might need in order to start a business or successfully apply for a job, for example, a digital portfolio or using a 3D printer to prototype a product that they might want to sell. So it's really going to be a broad range.
Thank you.
Councilmember Frutos.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. 2 questions. Burbank School District, no summer employment this year? What happened?
So when we didn't see an application from Unified School District, I reached out to the program manager, and that was the organization that chose not to apply because the decrease in funding that they had been seeing just wasn't going to be able to sustain that program this next coming year. Administrative costs have just gone up.
And then my next thoughts, if you can share with me, is I'm surprised with the YMCA Learn, Grow, Thrive Summer Day Camp. We were only giving them $12,333, but measurable outcome, people to be assisted is 7 on the report. I've seen it personally. They've got several hundred kids, and I think the need is great. I was just curious, what were the discussions?
So the number that we're looking at outcomes for the $12,333, $3 are those scholarships that would be used to pay for those children that are going into the program. Their goal is to serve about 180 kids at different 6 elementary schools, I believe. And that's about 30 spaces per school.
Okay.
And there is more money involved in this program. It's not just CDBG. You have the school district foundation dollars and other fundraising. Each one is committing about 1/3 of the funding for this program budget.
Okay. I also would support Councilmember Talamantes with the executive's recommendation, Madam Mayor, just my 2 cents for the conversation.
Is that a consensus on everybody?
Okay, I'll second it. If you're making motions, then I'll second it.
All right, I before I close the public hearing, we probably shouldn't deliberate until I get to ask my questions. Thank you.
Oh, that's right, we got to close the public hearing.
Yay. My question was about how the funding can be used. How do you see the funding, the capital funding used from the Boys and Girls Club to leverage additional money for their capital project? And maybe that's a question to the Boys and Girls Club.
If I could, Madam,
Yes,
Mayor?
Mr. City Manager.
I talked with the gentleman who's coming to the podium about, boy, if we do certain things, we have to build things certain ways, our costs go up. Is it really even worth it to ask for this money from the city because our costs are higher? And, within a half an hour, a major donor called up and said, we really need to know from our executive committee of our corporation, think big company, that the city is going to step up to this too. Please tell us that's true. And we went, oh, well, that informed our conversation. This happened about, a month ago.
Absolutely right. So, yeah, we hope to leverage the partnership with the city, and we have a great public-private partnership. Leverage that partnership with the city to be able to go out to donors and say, "Hey, look who believes in us." It legitimizes our endeavor. So that's one aspect of that we hope to utilize.
And by taking the vote this evening on the capital project, are we committing for next year on the block grant funds to Boys and Girls Club?
So the resolution is again stating that we look at a commitment of up to $500,000 for next year. That if funding is available from CDBG, again, that's congressional appropriation for CDBG next year. So that would be the recommendation this evening.
Councilmember Talamantes.
You mentioned, no, I don't have any more questions. Thank you very much. You mentioned that we already had done this once before?
Yes, Mr. Talamantes.
For BTEC?
Burbank Temporary Center, researched that and found that we had provided for their facility at 1304 Burbank Boulevard 2 years of funding, and each year was a little over $500,000. This was back in 2004 and back in 2005.
The same as this one tonight?
Similar to where we're looking at back-to-back years. They got funding in 2004 and then 2005.
So the motion said tie it up for 2 years?
Yes.
Okay. Now, as far as amending prior years' funding, where you have to carry it over and how many years can we carry over and carry over?
We can only carry over capital projects. So the capital projects that have been listed in Exhibit F are those that we want to carry over, and we can carry over those for multiple years. However, it's not a good practice to carry them over and over because we have to spend money.
So either you
HUD does not
use
let
it
us
or lose
continue
it.
to. Yeah, HUD doesn't let us continue to accrue funding and not spend it, or else we can lose the money.
But you don't have a definite number of years.
There is no definite number of years. It's actually just
To the council?
Well, it's not like some programs where you have a definite year of when you have to spend it.
Right.
These programs, we have projects that can go for multiple years, and we'll continue to carry them over. Unless the project just dies and doesn't go anywhere, then we will reallocate it into another program year.
Because I can see, in large projects, as the years go on, the costs increase right? Day one, you say 6.5 million. This project's gonna cost but then when you get into the second, third, or fourth year, now you're up to 10 million. So that's not for us to worry about.
Well, yeah, no, it is something to be concerned about if there's money that we're committing to a program where I think it's important to know that if council approves the fiscal year 2019 funding to Boys and Girls Club, it's for program and planning and design work, and according to Boys and Girls Club, they're ready to spend that money. So we would be able to spend that money right away in this next fiscal year. The next year, we would be, that the goals committee will meet their goal of raising the money that they need for construction, that they would be able to then use the CBG money, maybe that be the most restrictive, to be able to spend that sooner rather than spending their other non-restrictive dollars for construction.
Well, I'm just asking this question because obviously we have a couple of examples this year that we're carrying over, like the work at the library. That hasn't started yet, right? We gave the money last year, and we've gone a whole year without any progress, at least that I know of. There might be a lot of progress that I'm not aware of. But we're saying that the construction is going to be starting here in June or July.
I think on the library, the intention was always to have it as a 2-year program. And we funded a portion of what we knew the cost would be last year, and we were hoping that we would be able to fund the rest of the cost this year. So, and they have done some work. I don't know exactly what. Our librarian can probably talk more to that.
Ms. Goldman.
So in addition to a great deal of research and planning work this year, what we have done, we have to build 2 walls. We have to create a space in the central library. We didn't have any existing rooms we could use for this project. And so we have been working all year long with Public Works on getting this project moving forward, partially due to the hiring freeze. It did get, the launch of that did get delayed. We are right at the bid stage right now, so it is imminent. The money will not be spent until next fiscal year, but it's definitely going to happen this summer. So we have done everything from determining the exact size and shape. There had to be some work in the HVAC system and the electrical system and new lights put in. That's been completed. And then, so now we'll be building the walls, and some of this fund is for furniture. But there's really sort of rehabbing the space so that we could have a distinct room. And of course, we need to think about things like soundproofing because there will be creative activities going on in the space in the middle of the rest of the library. So there's been quite a lot of extensive work leading up to the construction, but the construction has not actually started.
I'll stop by tomorrow and take a look at that.
Yeah.
All right, thank you. Thank you very much. I've got a question. I keep hearing this hiring freeze. Whoever implemented the hiring freeze? Mr. Davis, do you know anybody that implemented the hiring freeze?
That would be me. I suck. I'm sorry.
Okay, thank you. I knew there was somebody because I keep hearing it over and over through discussions of hiring. But anyway, having said that, now, real quick, this is really deviating from this discussion, but I just have to ask it. The airplane over there at Cambridge Park, at Olive Park, is in need of painting. Can we use some of these monies to paint that?
CBG doesn't let you use money for maintenance, so that would fall under maintenance.
It's a 20-year thing.
So we couldn't use it. We'd have to identify people to it that are low income.
The visual. Anyway, thank you very much. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
You're welcome, Councilmember Talamantes.
Just asking.
I think we got our questions answered. I'm going to see everybody's finished. Okay, good. I'm going to close the public hearing, and the council will now deliberate. What is the council's pleasure?
Well, I make the motion, still stand with this motion to go ahead and just go with the executive recommendation on both the public services program and the capital economic development.
Microphone.
Yes, thank you. So go with the recommendations by the executive committee on the public service programs and the capital and economic development projects.
Is there a second? All right, it's been moved and seconded. Madam City Attorney, do we need to go through read the recitations that are here?
Beside what Councilmember Talamonte said, I'm sure he also meant to move all the other staff recommendations.
Yes, I did. Thank you.
Thank you, and then the second incorporates all of that. I just wanted to make one final comment on this, because I think it's just extraordinary that this year we didn't see any public works paving projects in downtown Burbank in the lower income census tracts, because we have SB1, and thanks to our residents who did support the sales tax, we will have a significant amount of money already set aside every year to do infrastructure improvements. And the reason that impressed me so much was I saw this year that instead of putting $500,000 towards paving streets, we're putting $500,000 towards our investment in the Boys and Girls Club new headquarters. And hearing that there's already an interest in matching or wanting to see what the city's commitment is to this kind of construction is a very positive thing for our entire community. The other thing that I saw was so much of what the funding is able to do now is to focus on homelessness prevention, either through Family Promise, continuing work of BTAC, with the Salvation Army having a new program that they'll be able to construct and staff. I mean, to me, isn't this one of the major issues of the day that we have been trying to grapple with? And here are all of our public service agencies who work cooperatively, who say we support one another. And as you say, Councilmember Talamontes, we have a public-private partnership going on. Using these funds in a way that is very constructive to build a better Burbank, community individuals and kids who are better equipped to face, the challenges of tomorrow. And then finally, I'll just say it is very significant to have our library leadership stepping up to offer an additional facility to the community in our central library, which is eligible for block grant because of where it's located. Stepping up and going forward with that kind of self-sustaining teaching and training in a way that continues to build the kind of community that we want in our city. So I see the absence of paving as the presence of new initiatives that we're looking for to help fund the city and meet its challenges. It's my soapbox. It's very significant. Thank you all for speaking. Thank you all for coming this evening. Thank you, committee members who were here tonight. We've never applauded you. I think that's going to become a regular happening. Thanks to Councilmember Murphy. Councilmember Frutos has a comment.
I also wanted to thank all the nonprofits that are here. You are providing the resource that we need on the council to keep this community moving forward. And to the board members that are here that are volunteering their time, I just want to extend a heartful thank you, because if it wasn't for you, where will we send our homeless? Where will we provide the education during the summer months for kids? After school programs, showers, the very important quality of life issues for people. Thank you. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Madam Mayor?
Wait.
And if I may,
yes.
I just want to acknowledge Jack Panassi, and also our Goals Committee member. He came in later today, and he's also our Goals Committee.
Where is he?
Jack, would you mind?
Jack, would you stand up, please?
Oh, I'm sorry.
He was upset after
he came in and left.
He was upset after you introduced the other two.
He was upset, yeah.
All right. Councilmember Talamontes and then the Vice Mayor.
Boys and Girls Club, continue on. Much success, and I know you'll do it. You have the can-do attitude. You've already shown that. We need to have a vote, I know, but I just want to share that. So thank you. Keep going.
Vice Mayor Springer, did you have a final comment?
Just to thank you for all you do.
Councilmember Murphy, do you have a final comment? We need to vote. Okay. Would you poll the council, please?
Thank you. Councilmember Talamontes?
Yes.
Councilmember Frutos?
Yes.
Councilmember Murphy?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Springer?
Yes.
Mayor Ghiberletti?
Yes.
Thank you.
Congratulations. I'm going to move on to item P, which is the time for brief council comments, including reporting on council committee assignments. Anybody want to report on anything? Councilmember Frutos?
Okay, Madam City Clerk and Assistant Clerk, I've got 3 pages. Want you to know that. I'll be reporting out. So, starting on.
We're happy to stay long. It's okay.
So, back on Wednesday, June the 5th, I attended the annual Public Works Department meeting. That was a great event. Back on Thursday, June 6th, I presented a certificate, the grand opening and ribbon cutting for Orange Theory Fitness. It's not your typical gym. It's really a unique place using technology and monitors. And basically, you have a coach and you do treadmill, you do rowing, you do weightlifting. It's a circuit type training. It's very interesting. I also attended the Burbank Masonic Lodge. They awarded the Harem Award to Worshipful Peter Babayan. Probably mispronounced it, sorry. Attended on Sunday, June the 9th, was a really busy day. I attended the Road Kings Charity Car Show, and I wanted to thank the Road Kings for all their commitment to our city. Then I also attended a very unique, but I'll let the Vice Mayor, I know she really wants to talk about this. You go. But I did attend with the Vice Mayor a storytelling dinner with Reverend Lorenza Andre Smith, Life on the Street, but I'll let the Vice Mayor report out on that one. Then, I also on Sunday, I attended the Blessing of the Animals at the Belmont Village Senior Living that was done by Reverend Ross Purdy. And there was quite a attendance. I mean, not just people that were living in the building, but the surrounding buildings. They brought their pets. I brought Cider and Katerina. And my wife joined me, and we got our pets blessed. It was really unique. And then on Monday, I spent some time with school board member Steve Frittner, who's the current clerk of the school board. And we discussed different issues within the school district. And then today I also attended with the mayor and vice mayor a goodbye reception for Mr. Denny Waite, who is basically retiring from here and moving on to Santa Barbara as their litigator. So that's it. I'll put the other 2 pages away, Madam City Clerk.
Vice Mayor Springer.
I participated in the community read-in at Burbank Town Center on Saturday. Our representative Adam Schiff was there. I attended the PFLAG meeting last night. And as Councilmember Frutos said, we were at a discussion last night, Life on the Street, and the speaker was Lorenza Andrade Smith. She's somebody who lives in Brownsville, Texas, but a very well-educated woman. She retired from the Air Force, and she was an air traffic controller. And after that, she went into the ministry and went to seminary. And she was assigned to the street, and she was homeless on the street for over 3 years. And it was very enlightening. And she said one of the best things that you can do for somebody homeless on the street is to know their names and to treat them with dignity. And that maybe to put all of these homeless people together might not be the best thing for them because they are traumatized, they are physically not well because they haven't been eating and sleeping properly, and they suffer. If they didn't have psychological disorders when they went on the street, they probably have them now. And so they have psychological, mental, and emotional needs that really need to be addressed. And an important takeaway for me was that the shelters that I've known of where they have to leave every morning, like at 5 a.m., 6 a.m., is probably not the best for somebody just coming off the street because they are ill and they just need time to recover. And she suggested like a 28-day recovery period for them just to get their wits, get physically better, and get some counseling. And she's in counseling, actually. She didn't need it before she was homeless, but she needs it now. She suffers from PTSD. That's it. Thank you.
Councilmember Talamontes.
Yes, thank you, Madam Mayor. I just want to share this. We've got all council members got this email last week from our traffic engineer. It came through the city manager to us, and giving you an idea of how much work has been done around the school zones. As of last week, the traffic engineer, Jonathan Yeast, states that we've installed new all-way stops at 15 intersections around 11 schools, including private, and 64 crosswalks at 21 intersections. In June, we will be installing an additional 45 crosswalks at 15 intersections. Between June and August, we will be installing 15-mile-per-hour signs on 113 blocks around 20 schools, including private. Save Routes to School project construction around Jefferson, Muir Middle School, Washington Elementary is targeted to begin near the end of 2019, beginning of 2020. So, I just want to share with my colleagues, and you've already seen it, but with the public, the work that is being done in cooperation, conjunction with the school district. And things like that just don't get noticed unless, if you don't have kids, you don't really notice it. But there's a lot of work, safety-wise, that's being done by our city staff to help the school district. So thank you, Madam Mayor.
That's a good point. Councilmember Murphy.
Yes. I also attended the Road Kings show on Saturday. It was very hot. It was nice in the park. Took my dog and we looked at a lot of no need is. No. So I saw the Road Kings thing, and then I also went to the Denny Way goodbye party. He is going to be missed. Denny was just a great guy, an honest guy, old school. You shook hands, reasonable. He's going to be missed because he was the supervisor of the criminal division for the last couple of years, and they had just moved him into civil and was looking like he was going to be great at that, but apparently he left for a different environment, Santa Barbara. So good luck to Denny. Thank you.
I want to say we all attended the Public Works picnic last week, and it was great to see and spend some time over lunch with the folks who really make the city run. Pick up our trash, handle the landfill. And I thought it was particularly gratifying, Mr. Davis, to listen to Mrs. Gibson talk about the roles that each one of those teams performed as a city service, keeping our streets clean, sweeping the streets, handling the landfill, doing the recycling center, just to have her recite and then have the employees be acknowledged for the kind of work that they do in our city to keep it rolling and moving. It was very gratifying, so I'm glad we were all able to make that. And please extend our thanks to Mrs. Gibson. If we haven't done it individually, I'm sure we would do it collectively. I met with the president of the school board, Dr. Reynolds, and I'm hoping that this will be a regular meeting. We agreed to meet once a month to talk about issues of mutual interest between the city and the school district. So Mr. Councilmember Talamontes, your recitation of what we're doing in cooperation with the school district is very well taken. I did discuss with her and just beginning to learn what they're going to do as they move forward, trying to consider how they would do raising additional revenue for the school district, whether it's a parcel tax, which it looks like likely it might be, kind of how that looks going forward. And then the last thing is I know that both the Vice Mayor and Councilmember Talamontes were at the SCAG meetings this past week to talk about transportation issues, freight haul, and other things. I didn't find anything in the topics last week that particularly directly affected Burbank, but as there are those items, we will report out on them. And then also say goodbye to Denny Way, one of the really great guys who's done a lot for our community, and I will too miss him very much. Do council members have any additional items they'd like to place on the agenda? Seeing none, Let's move to adjournment. We're going to adjourn this evening in memory of Barbara Round, a longtime Burbank resident and a former city employee and an amazing pioneer in women and girls sports in the city of Burbank. We will be back on June 25th, 2019 in the council chamber here on East Olive. Good night, everyone.